Now to make this orange pineapple wine, I'm going to be using the following. I have one container of orange juice in the new shrinkflation package of 2.3 quarts or 2.2-liter size. I have one, hopefully ripe, pineapple. I have 3 cups of white granulated sugar. I'd probably do it with 2, but I've decided to go with 3. I'll need around a teaspoon of active dry yeast. This is going to be a bread yeast recipe, although you can just as easily do it with wine yeast if you've got some lying around. These are also optional. I'm going to be using straining bags. Don't need them if you don't have them. It'll work just as well. I'll need a wide mouth container, fermenter, something that we can get the initial fermentation process going. You can also use a BPA-free food grade bucket. That works just as well. You'll also need a 1 gallon, or in this case, 4-liter jug, jar, demi-john container, so that in about a week or so, when we move everything from our primary fermentation device into our long haul secondary fermenter, that should do it just nicely. Also, you're going to need an airlock with bung. For those of you who are not in the know, the airlock basically allows CO2 that's going to be produced to escape and keep bugs or whatever from getting in, ruining our wine. This is also optional, but I'm going to be using a hydrometer, and that's going to allow me to determine how much alcohol that we have produced at the end of the process. We'll take a measurement before and we'll take a measurement after, do a quick calculation, and we'll find out how much alcohol we have produced. And last but certainly not least, we're going to need a food grade sanitizer so we can clean and sanitize all of our equipment to make sure that nothing happens in the way of germs that might ruin our batch. And this is what I'm going to be using to make this wine. Now, when sanitizing your equipment using a food grade sanitizer like I am, please follow the manufacturer's directions for use. Basically, spray it on liberally and allow it to wait for the recommended time for it to take effect. Me personally, once I've given it the allotted amount of time, it may be a no-rinse sanitizer, but I'm kind of funny this way. I will then go ahead and rinse out the equipment. And so far, that's worked for me, so hey, that's what I'll continue to do. But again, that's just me. Now to get started, let's go ahead and take our orange juice out of the refrigerator because we want to let this juice come up to room temperature. Now, since we're using a fresh pineapple, the game plan for that is going to be this. We're going to remove the tops and the bottoms, and then we're going to remove the outer skin. And since I don't have a pineapple core, what we want to do is kind of cut around the core and then cut them into little bite-sized chunks. And that process is going to start like this, with a nice sharp knife, being careful to not cut your fingers off. Go ahead and remove the top and the bottom. So we get a nice stable little surface to work with. And then start removing the outer skin. And let's see, core is here, about yay wide. So I can start really just cutting little sections next to the core. All right, close enough. Since I've got the opportunity, cut off a slight little small chunk, and let me see if this thing is sweet. Well, it's got a little bit of a tang to it, but yeah, it's sweet enough. What we now want to do is cut this into small chunks. we got a couple of options. One, because we want to make this as small as possible so we can extract as much juice as possible, you can go through the process of finely chopping up the pineapples. Or, if you've got one, you can use one of these. You know what it is. Okay, it's your blender. If you don't have a blender, but you got one of these, you can use this. And of the three processes that I can use, I'm going to use this. Okay, that takes care of the cutting. You make a little bit of room here. That, and it has occurred to me that I have not yet sanitized my food processor. So let me do that real quick. Okay, I properly cleaned and sanitized a bowl and my straining bags. Get those ready. And let's make a little bit of noise. That should be enough to start. Yeah, I mean, you can pulse it a couple of times until you think it's minced up properly, or you can just simply turn the doggone thing on. Yeah, that works too. All right, with that out of the way, with that part of it, let's go ahead and dump the first load into a straining bag. Now, again, straining bags are highly optional. It depends on just how much cleaning up you want to do after the fact. A primary fermentation and get all of the spent or pulp, remaining pulped out of your carboy or jug or jar or whatever you're using. Later on. All right. I might be able to use just one bag. That'll work. All right, let me go ahead and finish wrapping this up. Yeah, one bag ought to do it in my case. Let's go ahead and tie this off. Let me cover this up. All right, now I feel much better. Now that everything's come up to room temperature, it's now time to start mixing our stuff together. And that's going to be something that looks a little bit like this. Start with the easy one first. So I thought would be the easy one first. Yeah, there we go. Well, let's get this into our fermenter. Okay. And our pineapple juice, which I'm going to do two ways. One, I'm going to take out the bag first. Put that on a plate, which is our sanitized. Pour in some of our pineapple juice. Okay. And then we're going to mix in our sugar. Now, however you decide you want to mix in your sugar, it's entirely up to you. You can either get a nice spoon and get the job done, or if you're in a bit of a hurry, you can speed things up a bit. All right, I think that's good enough. Just looking at it, we're coming up a bit shy of 1 gallon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water just to bring our level up to about 1 gallon. All right, this is just clear filtered water. That's up to the mark, 1 gallon. I'm going to go ahead and mix that in a little bit more. All right, that's good enough. And for the moment, I'm just going to put my lid back on, because what I want to do now is I want to take a hydrometer reading. Now, if you don't have a hydrometer, that's no big deal. You don't need to have it. Okay, sorry for the blurriness of the image, but it looks like that hydrometer reading came in at 1.102. Now, at the moment, the only thing we've done is created sweetened pineapple orange juice. In order to turn it into wine, or to start the process of turning it into wine, we've got to put in our yeast. And I'm going to do that right now. I've got a half a teaspoon. I don't know if you can make that out. Probably not, but I got a half a teaspoon here. And I'm just going to put in a half a teaspoon. I'm not going to level it off or anything. Just generally a half a teaspoon ought to do it. And just dump it in. I don't need to bloom it or anything like that. Just need to put it in. And the only reason why I'm putting in the yeast before I put in my bag of pineapple is because if I put the pineapple in first, the yeast would just pretty much sit on top of the bag, and that kind of slows down the whole process. So we got that in there. We got that in there. And let me put a lid on this before something drifts in there that I don't want in there. Okay. All right. It's time to label our creation so that we know what we're making when we started it and what our starting gravity was. And a little bit of tape will do the job just nicely. We are making an orange pineapple wine. We started it on this date, and our starting gravity was 1.102. Now, once again, I should point out that this particular fermenter does have a built-in airlock, so that's why you're not seeing anything sticking out the top, although it does come with an airlock that I can plug in here and it sticks out the top. But I'm not going to do that this time. But if you're not using something with built-in airlock, then of course you will need an airlock because it's going to produce a lot of CO2 and it does need to be released. So I'm going to put this out. I'm going to put this away somewhere. It's coming up on, it's getting warm out here. We're starting to see 80-degree plus temperatures. So I'll just put it in the closet and I'll just let it set for the next week or so before I transfer it into the secondary fermenter, which is that glass jug you saw, to begin the long haul boat fermentation. A couple of months. Um, I may rack it again sometime during that process because if I don't, over time, the yeast is going to thrive, multiply, and then die, and it's going to settle down at the bottom of the carboy and begin to give off flavors. And I don't want that to happen, so I just transfer everything above this layer into another container and continue on the process until I think it's done. And it should clear up a little bit. This is just a batch of regular orange wine, which once again has become my favorite, but that's another story for another day. Now, once a day for the next 1 to 3 days, you might want to just go ahead and do two things. One, you might want to just go ahead and give your wine to be a good stir. And if you're not using a straining bag, you want to make sure you kind of break up any cap that might be preventing your yeast from getting enough air to breathe. If you're using a straining bag, you might just want to just tip it over upside down. And then that's that. You don't want to do it more than the first 3 days, because after that, you run the risk of oxidizing your wine. And we don't want to do that. So there you go. And once the process has been completed, I'll just go ahead and do a tasting video and we'll find out just how well this turned out. So until then, I'll see you later.